I'm Bob at ILikeToMakeStuff. Today I'm going to show you how to make that thing. I got some 1-inch and 4-inch PVC pipe and a 3-inch cap. That fits right on the inside of the 4-inch pipe. I traced the smaller pipe on the side of the larger pipe and then marked an area a few inches down from the end. I used these lines to help cut out this section on the bandsaw, and it's cutting the top and the bottom of the larger pipe. I finished taking those out with a cut-off wheel. Then I replaced it with a grinding stone to smooth out the edges of the area that I'd cut out. I needed to cut down friction because the 1-inch pipe had to fit in this gap. I made sure that it moved freely, and then I figured out how long it needed to be, making sure both hands could fit on it. I cut it down to length on the miter saw and then rounded over the edges on the disc sander. I sanded a flat spot on the top of the cap, and then on the disc sander I made the whole thing smaller by sanding all the way around it. When you cut a section out of PVC pipe, it puckers a little bit, and so it actually got smaller and it didn't fit as well. By sanding it, I made it fit perfectly. I drilled a hole through the center of the cap and then the same size hole right in the middle of my handle piece. I used a large washer here on a bolt and ran it through from the inside of the cap. Then I put on the handle piece and added a nut on the backside just to hold it all together. I dropped that in the slot on the large PVC pipe and then glued on a coupler. Because of that pucker I mentioned earlier, I had to clamp these to the coupler to make sure there was plenty of contact for the cement to set up. But after that, I took off the clamps and made sure that everything could move smoothly on the inside of the pipe. Then I needed to mount this. I reused a pressure-treated 2x4 from another project, cut it down into 2 sections, and drilled a hole in the barrel. I connected it with a decking screw. I used some plastic strapping and some deck screws to hold down the barrel to the 2x4 on the front and on the back. This stuff is made for hanging pipes, but it works great in this instance. I had an old scrap of pressure-treated plywood that had been outside, so I cut it down to a shape and then traced it onto another piece, so I had 2 pieces that were exactly the same. I screwed these onto both sides of the 2x4 with some deck screws. This will hold the cannon at an angle pointing up. I cut 2 more small pieces of 2x4 and then screwed one onto each side. These need to be really sturdy and as far forward as possible. On each one of these, I drilled a hole that was in line with the slot that I'd cut, and then I screwed in a big eyelet. Using a cutoff wheel, I carefully cut off the hooks from a bungee cord. Then I cut the cord in half with a utility knife and burned the ends to stop them from fraying. I put one end through the eyelet and then tied it into a figure-8 loop knot. Then I just put it over the handle on each side. I gave the whole thing a couple coats of black paint, and that immediately made it look like a cannon. Then it was time to mount it to the playset. I drilled a hole in the railing and in the other piece of 2x4. I attached them with a couple of washers and a long bolt and nut. Once it was pivoting, I set on the cannon and drove in some screws to attach it to the 2x4. Then it was ready to test. It's a little chilly for water balloons this time of year, so I was testing with a plastic ball that I could dip in water and get it a little bit heavier. I think water balloons are going to work great in this thing. I intentionally didn't make this shoot very far or very hard for a few reasons. One, I don't want it to be dangerous. It's supposed to be fun and shoot water balloons. Also, if you want to make it shoot farther, you have to tighten the straps, and that's going to make it harder to pull back. And since my kids are young, I wanted them to be able to actually pull it back without too much effort. So you could actually change out the bungee cords to make it stronger, make it shoot farther if you want to, but if you do, you're on your own. Just please be careful. This was a project I just came up with off the top of my head, just grabbed some materials and kind of put it together. It actually worked better than I thought it would, but I'm sure there's probably a better way to do some parts of it. I don't know that I'll ever go back and rebuild it, but you never know. So this one was supposed to just be fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to know what you think about it in the comments down below or at my website, ILikeToMakeStuff.com. Got lots of other videos for you to check out and all sorts of stuff. Thanks for watching. See you next time.